Hello, I am Tari T. Thompson of Alternative TV, and here with me is my partner.
Vandalia V. Brown of Alternative TV.
So, we promise to bring you everything that is connected to buying, selling, and owning a home. So, today we're going to talk about the probate and estate process because, like it or not, some of us will have to face that and will have to deal with it. So V has gone and is going through the process now. So she's going to share with us a little of what she has learned. Neither of us are probate attorneys, so you will obviously have to, seek information on your specific situation from an attorney, but we are going to share with you what we know, and hopefully this will get you started. So, V, so just what exactly is a personal representative versus an executor of the estate?
Well, basically, a personal representative and executive are the same, and what they do is just act as if they are the person. It gives you, once you're appointed as a personal representative or executive, you can sign on the behalf of the deceased person that you're assigned the personal representative of.
Okay, so how did you become the executive? I'm sorry, the personal representative for your family's estate?
I have multiple estates that I'm dealing with. I became the personal representative of my mother's estate because I am the only surviving child. And I became the personal representative of my sister's estate because only sibling left really, but also a creditor took her to court, to probate court, and they were going to appoint just a random lawyer to be the personal representative. So I went to court to petition to have me made the personal representative of the estate, so that when the decisions are made, they're made personally about her personal items, not just some random stranger making decisions.
Okay, so for your sister, you were appointed, but did either of your family members have a will?
Neither family member had a will.
Oh, okay. So before going through this process, what did you think being a personal representative would involve?
Before I actually became a personal representative, I just knew a little bit about the process because my sister was the personal representative for another sibling that had passed away. So I kind of, at a distance, seen what that was like. But now I'm getting some real first-hand information about being a personal representative and what's involved in it.
Okay. So what would you say surprised you the most once the process got started?
I guess the thing that surprised me the most was really how much is involved, the paperwork, and how in different situations how you have to duplicate paperwork because let's say if a person is married and had one last name and had a new last name as opposed to their maiden name, you have to duplicate paperwork for each one of those things. Wow. It's not just a simple like, oh, let me fill it out here, it says her name. You have to do different sets of paperwork for each possible name that person could have.
Mercy. So once your family member passed, what were the first steps that you had to take?
The first step I took, as far as my sister's concerned, I'll speak on that one because that's the newest, I guess, was really just trying to figure out what she had, information like that. I wasn't even a personal representative at that point. Just being emotional and going through the process, I didn't even think about becoming a personal representative or that. I was just like, well, let me take care of the house. So I was paying the mortgage, paying the BG&E and all of that just to keep things going. And until I guess I got to the emotional portion as much as I could before legally opening up the estate.
Okay. So did you need to go through probate?
Well, probate is the process.
Oh, that's okay.
Once you become a personal representative, you have to have like a state bank account with any funds that comes into the that belongs to the deceased person has to go into. So if they have property to sell, would proceeds from the property have to go in there. If they have other bank accounts, you have to close those out, and that money goes into an estate account, and then it sits there, and it gives creditors opportunity to say, oh, I'm taking a claim against the estate, she owed me this, she owes me that, and everything like that. So you do have to go through probate.
Okay. So what documents did you need to gather early on?
One thing, everything. And you need to know what bank accounts, if you can find out what bills they have, any life insurance, anything, any of those things you'll need to come together with. Because if you have a life insurance and you don't have a beneficiary, then that has to go to the estate. If you have a life insurance and the beneficiary has passed away, that may have to go to the estate. It's just so many different rules depending on what it is, kind of thing.
Okay. And I imagine you have to have also a death certificate to get a lot of that done.
Absolutely, you have to have a death certificate. And once you go and you open up the estate, you get the IRS assigns you an EIN number, which is kind of like a tax ID for the estate.
Okay.
And you need also a letter of administration, which the Register of Wills assigns once they agree that you meet the qualifications to be the Register of Wills. And one of those things, depending on the size of the estate, and then creditors request, sometimes you have to be bonded in order to be the personal representative.
Oh, okay. So now, were there deadlines or court requirements that that kind of caught you off guard?
Actually, it wasn't, because what I found out, there is no deadline in the state of Maryland to open up the estate.
Oh.
But the sooner the better. And I didn't necessarily do it sooner. But what had me open up the estate was the creditor, like I said before, was going to appoint a random attorney to be the personal representative. So it required me to just appear in court and be like, no, hey, I want to do that. I don't want a random person to do that, to handle my sister's personal belongings and information.
Okay. So, well, you're still in the process, so not how long did it take, but, how long has this taken so far?
Really short so far from what we've done. I just opened up her estate in end of March, beginning of April. To open it up, it's real simple. You really need an attorney. Well, it's easier with an attorney because like the legal paperwork had to go through the court. They know how to do to get it filled out properly and open. Like I said, you need an EIN number, but that is easy to do. That's something you can do online. And having an attorney also helps you to know, like, okay, now I have this bank account with this money in it. What do I do with it? What can I pay out of it? So instead of paying a mortgage out of my pocket or the BG&E out of my pocket, now I have an estate account. And because I'm a personal representative, I can write a check out of that to take care of those things.
Okay, and so now, and I was going to ask you some of the professionals. You mentioned that you need an attorney. I imagine if you weren't already a realtor, then you would need a realtor to sell the properties, and at some point an appraiser, depending on how the properties are sold.
Right.
Okay, but what about like an accountant, contractor, or like a clean-out person?
Okay, so not an accountant so much have I had to run into at this particular point in time. I do need a tax person, not necessarily an accountant, because you need to make sure the person's taxes are filed from the year that they passed, and then you're also responsible for filing taxes on the estate once it's closed. And when you open the estate, they give you a deadline by when the taxes have to be filed based upon the money that's coming into the account. Contractor, yes, if you have a property to sell and it needs to be repaired, you may need a contractor to do that. And absolutely positively, you will need a clean out person. Yes. Because it's just like they have things, and yes, there are things that you want to keep, but then you just can't keep it all. I mean, depending on the person. So you will need somebody to come in and clean out, get rid of anything that you don't want, kind of thing. So like I at my sister's house took some things that I wanted, from her house. Unfortunately ended up with a storage unit because of that. But anyway, I took some things that I wanted from her house, and then I allowed close friends to come in, and her nieces to come in and take what they wanted, and there's still left a lot to be cleaned out. And I got somebody to come in and was like, okay, I just want all of this gone. I did use somebody that I knew, so it wasn't like I felt like I had to be there. So in case they found something that they thought I wanted, I know this person would be like, oh, she may want this, and saved it, kind of thing, which is also important.
So and so as it pertains to the clean out in particular, You did it yourself initially this time. If you were in this situation again, would you have a clean out professional start? Come in. Would you bring them in right away and work with them, or let them help you work through that?
Hindsight, I absolutely would have hired a clean out professional because one, it would make the process go quicker and easier. They help you deal with, they would help you deal with the emotions and really like, do you really need that? Do you really need to keep that?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like had I used a clean out person, I wouldn't have a storage unit full of stuff that that I'm saving. But they help you deal with those emotions and things like that. I absolutely would have done it, and then it wouldn't have taken so long. It took me probably 3 months to go through my sister's house, as opposed to I know they can do it, like a week or so, depending on the property. But it took me 3 months because some days I would go there and I would get emotional when I'd walk away, or I would get emotional when I wouldn't go in the house at all. Those kind of things. So I would be there with somebody else and they start going through her things and it hurt my feelings. And unfortunately, I put them out, even though I invited them there to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the property and the real estate side. So what challenges came with managing the house itself?
For me personally, not really any challenges other than paying the mortgage. But it's a financial thing. But like no real challenges as far as managing the property. Because it's simple. Nobody was living there. It was just keeping the mortgage paid, BG, water bill paid. I go over there because I don't want to deal with squatters. She had good neighbors and also watch out for the property as well. One thing is I can say about opening an estate, if it's not someplace that you're comfortable in going, is open an estate to get your letter of administration so you can put a change of address in. To get the mail sent to you instead of every day I gotta go check the mail, I gotta do whatever, because that's important to check the mail and anything like that, because you don't want people like, oh, nobody's checking the mail, it's sitting there, and that could invite squatters into your property because they know somebody's not there. And like I said, in this particular case, great neighbors, so they would even to the point like on trash day put trash in front of my sister's house as if somebody was living there.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So it looked like somebody drove, oh yeah, she has trash to the curb, she has trash to the curb. And also, I put timers on and left a couple of links there and put timers on it so they would, would be on in the living room and they would cut out in a few minutes. You would see it come on in one of the bedroom windows kind of thing. So it just looked as if somebody was actually in the property, even on days that there wasn't.
Okay. So we talked about the cleanup piece. So will the property need repairs or updates before you can put it on the market?
Just in this particular minor things. House is well maintained, and actually, in this case, my sister had lived there long and was freshly painted everything when she moved there. But like I replaced the microwave, that kind of thing, and put a new refrigerator in there. But basically, no, it's ready to go. Just everything's out, needs to be cleaned, and it's ready to go on the market.
Okay. So, how, what influenced your decision to keep whether to keep the property, rent it, or sell it?
So I'm kind of back and forth about that right now. I haven't 100% made a decision. As a realtor, part of me wants to keep the property because I always said I want a portfolio of properties. Rent it, I don't know I could necessarily rent it unless it's to somebody I know because of the emotional attachment.
Okay.
I do also want to sell it and not keep it because when I think about the house in this particular case, it's like most of my memories aren't good memories there because not too long after my sister moved there, she got sick. And I was her caretaker, so it was just, those are the things that I remember going into the house.
Okay. So were there emotional difficulties in going through the house and the belongings?
It was absolutely emotional. Some days I could go there and if I was with somebody, we could sit down and tell a story and laugh. Some days I go there with somebody and like, yeah, you can't come in because where I am emotionally. There were days I would pull up, sit in the driveway for 2 hours and cry and pull off, never make it in the house. And even now, going in the house with it's empty, I still had those emotional times like, oh my God, like, oh, I remember this or where this was kind of thing. Yeah. And I tell people, and I used to think it was just me. We would go to the house, and I'd be like, I can still smell my sister in the house. And then one of her friends went with me. He was like, oh my God, you really can still smell her in the house after all of this time.
Yeah. So, so what expenses, continued while the property was in the estate? Like utilities, taxes, those kinds of things, insurance.
All of them.
All of it.
So of course, when you're paying the mortgage, you're paying your insurance and taxes is part of that. But yeah, you still got to keep the BG&E on, the water on, and you got to keep the utilities on, because if it's summer, you want to keep it kind of cool in it. Definitely during the winter, you want to be able to keep the heat on so the pipes don't burst.
Yeah.
And that was another thing during the winter, is like going over there and making sure the water drips, because I'm not in there every day, keeping the temperature, a certain temperature kind of thing. So all of them.
Yeah. So to make sure there are no major maintenance items to deal with. Okay. So what advice would you give to families about maintaining the property during probate?
Do the best that you can to maintain it as if the person was still living there. Keep the utility and things paid, going over there and just running the water through the faucets, flushing the toilets periodically. Like I said, keeping it cool during the summer months. Definitely keeping it warm during the winter months. Just do it as if those type things, as if somebody was still living there, because you don't want any problems with pipes and things on the other end if nobody's using any of those things.
Okay. So I want you to try and look through this next question through the lens of a person that's not a realtor. So at what point would they need professional real estate guidance?
You would need real estate guidance after the cleanup, because there's no need of having a realtor come in and it's full of stuff. If you're just gonna sell like that. And if you're gonna sell it to maybe like an investor who doesn't care about those things, then initially, like once you got out what you want to get out. Don't even waste your money. So yeah, like if you, like I was saying, if you do an investor, then don't waste your money in hiring somebody to clean it out for you, because most investors will take it as is and they'll do the clean out for you. You need a realtor as soon as you get it cleaned out, so they can give you guidance on if you need to repair or if you need new appliances or anything like that. And then maybe they can help you, guide you through the emotional side of selling, renting, or keeping, with their knowledge.
Okay. So, so this is different for you. I was gonna, what made a real estate agent helpful, and you talked about that.
But I can answer that a little bit, because even for me, being a real estate agent.
Well, wait, then let me just say the part two then. Also, what your families look for in a realtor.
Okay. So for me, even though I am a real estate agent, it's helpful to talk to another real estate agent, because they don't have the emotional connection.
Okay.
I think even as a realtor, I make decisions emotionally.
Okay.
And it's getting the input of other real estate agents that don't have emotional connection that is helping me make the right decision as far as the property is concerned. What to look for in a realtor: somebody's going to be honest with you, but also acknowledge and understand your true feelings. Not just do this with the property, whatever, and not care that you're crying at the moment, mad at the moment, to know that it's not about them, it's about your emotions connected to the property. So a real estate agent that is going to give you true good advice and acknowledge your emotion and your attachment to the property.
Okay, thank you so much, V, for opening your heart to talk to us about this process, because it is a lot. But this is just part one, because it is ongoing, and we want to allow you to digest this portion. And also, as V continues through the process, we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk to you a little more about it. So I hope this was helpful, and keep your eyes open, check back with us, and we'll be giving you the next installment soon. Thanks so much.